Good morning, everybody. Dr. Price here, and today's subject is a very critical one, in my opinion, something that is affecting a ton of people across our country. I want to talk about depression and the use of antidepressants. The use of antidepressants is becoming very common. In fact, I can almost guarantee when I do a new patient intake form that if they are on any medications, which most of the patients are, it's usually some form of an antidepressant and some form of a cholesterol medication, which we can talk about cholesterol another day. So I really want to address this issue with the antidepressants. I found some really interesting information, and it was an interview with a gentleman named Robert Whitaker, and the interview was performed by Dr. Mercola. So I've taken that interview and I'm including it. It's a 7-part series, and I'm including one part each day for the next 7 days on this blog. So I want you guys to watch that because I feel like it's going to give you some pretty good information. I have notes here, so I'm going to be looking down quite frequently at these notes because I want to make sure that I include all this information. First of all, I want to say to you that I've had many conversations with a lot of you about antidepressants, and do not, no matter what you read or what you hear in this information, if you decide that you want to come off of your antidepressants, do not do it without consulting your physician. You have to be taken off of these antidepressants the right way, or it can throw you into major physiological and chemical tailspin, one that you just don't want to experience. So you really need to talk to your physician and have them work with you in getting you off the antidepressants. And also understand that I am not telling you to get off of them. It's not in my scope of practice, and I'm not allowed to tell you that. But I am telling you that there are a lot of risks with it, and I think you need to make educated decisions regarding your health. So first of all, according to Dr. Whitaker, there were studies that were done, and this guy has been a medical writer for many years, so he's been around this profession for quite some time. And there were many studies that were done that that showed that the benefit to antidepressant medications were just non-existent as compared to placebos. So, and that was for mild to moderate depression, and these were for short-term studies. So, if you think about that, if there's really no benefit as compared to a placebo for short-term benefits with antidepressants, then is it a smart choice to even begin that process? Okay, well, let's think about it and let's look at it long-term. Okay, so the long-term, first of all, we need to understand what kind of was going on before antidepressants. And what had happened was people found that even researchers found that even in people with severe depression, we're talking depression that made people end up hospitalized, they were expected to recover. It was considered episodic, which means it was just episodes of depression, and they were expected to recover. Well, the antidepressants came on the market because they were looking to speed up this natural healing process to help people get through it quicker. So they put these antidepressants on the market and they began using them. And what ended up happening was they found that there may have been some benefit as far as a speedier recovery, but what they found was that people began to have more frequent relapses. In other words, they would maybe get over their depression or start feeling a little bit better, and then they would relapse. And what began to occur with the long-term use of these antidepressants, I'm looking right here, I want to get this guy's name right. It started to lead to more chronicity, and they've started to find out, first of all, they started to find out that only 15% of patients on antidepressants long-term recovered from their depression and had long-term symptom-free life. In other words, 85% of the people that are on antidepressants become chronic, 85%. So please consider that before you go onto an antidepressant for anything, whether it's to quit smoking, whether it's to help with your mood, whether it's to help with anything. Remember, 85% of people that go on these things become chronic. And in the early 1990s, they started to realize that when these people that were on the antidepressants started having the relapses, it became more and deeper with the depression. So it was not only more chronic, but it was deeper. Ross Benderacini is a researcher at Harvard, and he began doing the research to try to figure out what was going on, and he's starting to realize and starting to question the fact as to whether or not these antidepressants are actually depressogenic, or in other words, do they cause depression? And the statistic that we need to look at is, okay, if we're doing something here, then the recidivism rate and the the rate of depression should be decreasing in our country, because obviously the antidepressant rate has increased many fold. 230 million prescriptions for antidepressants were filled, and still in this country 1 in 20 Americans is considered clinically depressed. So that tells me that this is not working. Okay, and again, it's better health through chemistry. It's a great market for people to get into. They classified depression as a disease, and now it's just a highly profitable pharmaceutical industry right now. So there are several problems that come with antidepressants, okay? And not only the simple fact of clinically, I can tell when a patient goes on antidepressants, even if they don't tell me. If I knew the patient before they went on antidepressants, they come into my office different. Their mood is different, they are quieter, or the look on their face, it looks like their life energy has just left them. This is almost 100% accurate. Most of you who have been in my patients, or have been my patients and have gone on antidepressants, know that when you come in, I end up asking, are you okay? You know, what's going on? And we'll find out that you started some kind of an antidepressant program. I do not like these. I really don't. And I don't mean to judge. I'm not saying this to judge, and I know this is upsetting a lot of you, because a lot of you give credit to the fact that these things have changed and saved your lives. But I'm afraid that it's just not doing it. I'm afraid that there are long-term problems that are coming of this. So, but anyway, two of the major concerns are, number one, 25% of people who are diagnosed with unipolar depression, in other words, they're just chronically depressed, 25% of those people convert over to bipolar. What bipolar is, it means that you go through states of depression, and then you go through states of being manic or extremely happy. The problem with this is that now this becomes a disease, and you go on antipsychotic drugs, and most people end up on disability who are bipolar. Only 35% of bipolar patients actually have jobs. So this is a problem that we've got to really look at. Same thing holds true for children. 25 to 50% of children who are on antidepressants long-term end up bipolar. Okay, so please take that into consideration. The other consideration, I'll be right there, baby girl. The other consideration is that there's an extreme decrease in cognitive function. In other words, our brain stops functioning optimally when you are on antidepressants long term. So 85% of people that go on antidepressants become chronic, which means that you're on them long term, and then you start getting the risk of 25% of you becoming bipolar, which puts you on antipsychotic medication, which makes you end up filing for disability, because only 35% of those people can work. This is, I'm telling you, this is a cycle that if you can avoid it, please do what you can to avoid it. Also want to say that many of you have heard, I'm going to go over here and get my daughter, she's having breakfast right now. Many of you have heard that depression is a chemical imbalance. And what that theory came from is that when SSRIs were put onto the market, serotonin reuptake inhibitors were put onto the market, they found that the mechanism that these chemicals worked through was decreasing the reuptake of serotonin. So it became the theory that patients who were depressed had low serotonin. Well, the fact is that there was never a study, in fact in 1983, you want to see? Say hello! In 1983, before Prozac was even put on the market, they discovered that patients with depression did not have, or had no evidence of low serotonin. Come here. Had no evidence of low serotonin. So this is a theory that has been disproved since 1983. Okay, so there really is no scientific test to see what is causing clinical depression, or if there's a necessity to go on antidepressants. It's just it's an opinion fact, an opinion-based prescription. So what do we do for depression? I'm sorry for the chaos of this video, but again, I promised myself that I would not edit videos. So we're going as is, live feed. So what do we do about depression to try to avoid the antidepressants? I will do a video next week. I can only do these videos for 10 minutes, and I'm about to run out of time. Tomorrow's video, I'll tell you what the options are for depression treatment. All right, I hope this helps. As always, let's take control of our health before our health takes control of us. Please watch the other video that I've included, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.